Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina ma yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu wa asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan 'abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma shalli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad walhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillah, we continue with today's about how to take the ghusl or the janaba in Arabic they call it. And when taking the purification of bath, these are just the etiquette. It's not really an etiquette, but it's a sunnah. To begin with, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wash the hand 3 times and remove any impurity from the body. Perform ablution in the manner already described with the exception of washing the feet. This is normally done towards the end. And then pour water on the head 3 times over the right side of the body, 3 times over the left, 3 times rubbing the front. Now, some of these 3 times, 3, all these things that is done, we didn't actually go into the detail in the understanding of why is it repeated, but then because it requires a lot of effort, for people to be going into the detail. But believe me, there is a reason for whatever that you do, and you are not just doing it for the sake of repeating without knowing. It's not like that. Okay, everything that you done, it has a significance. Okay, sometimes it's just that it's not been written. It cannot go into the detail, particularly not with Imam Ghazali. He doesn't go more onto the external of what is being said here, but he focused more on the meaning of, imagine like even we already knew in other hadith is been mentioned and all these things that you do. And this is the adab of Allah want us to have manners. Whatever the Prophet show, we are to follow. So by following him, so it's a sign of, as what Allah mentioned, because if we can understand the adab that Allah himself showing us through the Quran, if you have been reading the Quran, adab of what the Quran said, the Quran will always want us to be following or emulating from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's not, again, like I said just now, just washing 3 times without meaning, but it has even medical meaning onto it. So you can imagine, because during the early days, they don't have time to go into this detail because there is no, they don't have the equipment like we have today. As you knew that medically or rather scientifically, science have understand the reason as to why, we cleanse and we should not be affected with any viruses. But it is until sometime that you have to go through a pandemic like what we are going through and this and that, then only you realize that this washing becomes something that is now it becomes like everybody is being Islamized without they realizing it, because they need to be washing their hands every now and then. Only there's an addition of using a sanitizer, in our time, which is again, it took time for people to study and understand. For the start, they keep on using, but then there are research done by other scholars, Egyptian scholars, well-known, humble, and respected scholars, which has been circulated on the Facebook. He said that the using of this sanitizer and all others, like even Dettol, soap, and this and that, according to him, it kill the good bacteria or the good viruses that we have in our body that Allah has equipped with. So sometimes you see it can be like when the thing happened, then the scholars have to go back and do research on the issues of whatever is being debated. So this is where I'm just touching and making you understand, you know, like all these three things, three times that is been repeated here, over the right and left. These are manners that the Prophet Sallallahu enacted to show us. Okay. And then how to take the ghusl. This is one is not required to perform ablution after the ghusl. So this is when you take the bath, the janaba, right? You need not to take the wudu again on condition all these things been mentioned, provided one has performed it before the bath. The ghusl is only obligatory in 4 cases. The janaba, right? The bath is only obligatory when these 4 things happen to you, right? For the men and women, the emission of semen, you know, and ha 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 ha, and then ha ha ha, and then lastly on childbirth. So these are obligatory. If you're affected by these 4 things, then you are required to take a bath. Of course, it's excluding when you had intimate relation with your wife and there's no insertion and there's no emission of semen, then of course you don't have to take the ghusl. You just need to cleanse whatever that, because normally even you're sorry to say this, I have to be open, even if you're smooching, you know, or sniffing or whatever, you know, as long as there are what we call in medical terms like prostatic fluid, you know, watery or sticky watery comes out from the private part, right? That one is considered as najas. Okay, you need to just wash it. You need not to take the ghusl. Then ghusl is also recommended on other days, such as the Eid Mubarak that we have just celebrated, and of course every Friday. This is again upon entering ihram. We don't do this because sometimes depend on the package that you follow. You know, if you are taking ifrat, you already on ihram. So the ghusl of the ihram is being done prior to before you go to Arafah. Okay. Some of this I discussed with Brother Aidil also just now, Brother Aidil Yao. Some of these things is not practical anymore because of the, you know, they have made space and, you know, room for us to be doing it uh, in the premises of wherever we stay. Okay. And this is upon entering Mecca. So normally after the Arafah, after you have finished, so normally we will leave there before midnight. We have to be around Mina or Mona before midnight. After midnight, then we go. And of course, on the last 3 days of the pilgrimage, we will put on. So this is depend on the types of pilgrimage that you choose. You know, as you know, if you have attended the Hajj and Umrah courses, you know it's of 3 kinds. You know what is known as tamattu, and then Haji tamattu, Haji ifrad, and Haji qiran, right? So I don't know. I mean, so far this year, I don't think so. Saudi will allow most of the country have already withdraw of not going to Makkah al Mukarramah, and Saudi has minimized only allowing the Arabs who are near neighboring country to come for Hajj. Okay, this one you will learn when you attend the Hajj and Umrah courses. You know, upon when did you take this ghusl in Arafah? And then, of course, leaving Makkah, of course, you have to put on nice clothing. Sometimes also it depends, you know, in some situation, we will leave Mecca after the Jum'ah prayer. So you can do it in the morning. Most of these things cannot be done last minute because the movement over there in our country is very, very much different. And this one, again, not everyone, but most of the revert, we recommended them, to be taking the ghusl upon conversion to Islam, upon embracing Islam. Not there, not in Darul Arqam, otherwise then they got problem with their water bill, but upon when they go back home. And like I said, it's not a compulsory, as you can see, it's a recommended act. Okay. And again, also this is something that we practice, but supposedly, if you ever come across anyone who fell unconscious, and when he recover back from the unconsciousness, again, also it's a sunnah. So this is what I meant by, in today's context, you will understand every time when you do ghusl, it's about the virus, isn't it? You really don't know whether you are affected by it or not, as like in today's context, and even now, we will be asked to do the swab, something like that. So that's why you see what we have been practicing, if we have followed, we definitely will not be affected. But of course, that doesn't mean you can become a hero and go out there and challenge whatever. No, that is not Islamic, okay? And the same goes of after each funeral that we attended, and if you participated in the washing of the dead, you are also asked to take the ghusl after that, okay? Now, there's a difference between normal bath and ghusl, isn't it? Because as you know, the ghusl is more to what is an act of worship, but the normal bath is not act of worship. Nobody say that it's compulsory that you have to take a shower every day, isn't it? So that makes the difference, okay? So there are some, they call it customary act, and some are religious. So what we are discussing here are all religious. This is required by the religion, not by the culture or what I said just now, the customary of that society. Because if you don't know the difference, then sometimes you'll be surprised. People will be asking, it's a stupid thing that you have already washed yourself and then that you have to take the ghusl. Then you must explain to them there's a difference between taking a normal shower and taking a ghusl. So ghusl is Allah and the Prophet command. But the normal shower, no one command, right? That is based on that society where you live. If they are very fond of taking bath, in some country, I don't know, I'm not too sure. Anybody been to Japan? Hello? Anybody here have been to Japan?
No, no, Ustaz.
No, nobody. Why? How come?
Not yet, not yet.
Sorry?
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe you can find out. In some country, they don't practice the customary. Meaning, like even in Singapore, I remember during my younger days, there are some race here didn't practice taking customary bath. See, because it's not compulsion in their culture. Unlike the local Malays, and even Filipinos, if you understand them, washing is part of their culture. So when they became a Muslim, it's nothing new to them. Okay, and this washing of the dead also not something very common. I can tell you that most of us are being what you call it. I won't use the word stubborn, but most of us, because of the situation, maybe you are you grieve because of your loved one that gone. So, and because it's rushing, nowadays everything is rushing. So the one that participated in washing off the dead didn't wash, and the logic behind that, you could be affected by viruses that is transmitting or from the dead body himself, right? You never know. Because although in Singapore, that's why we have corona cases of what what is called as, if the death is outside, meaning like the patient is on the way to in the ambulance normally, right? If they are dead in the ambulance, they will still do a last resuscitation in hope to be saving the dead. So then later it will consider as coroner case. It will be referred to the pathologist. Okay, that was what happened to my father-in-law, because he passed on from the nursing home on the way to Tan Tock Seng Hospital. He's already passed away. But then upon arrival at Tan Tock Seng Hospital, the doctor did last resuscitation. This hospital procedure, although the person is dead, they just put on, you know, they have to put on an effort to try and do something, which they did. But then, of course, we knew that he's gone. So what happened because of his death on his way, and they did the resuscitation, it doesn't help him. So the doctor cannot certify the death, and this was referred to the police. So we have to talk to the police, and we plead and we pray to Allah Ta'ala, of course. He's about 84 years old. Alhamdulillah, they did not did the postmortem. I claim the body and make sure that, but they do swap. They do swap without you realizing it. But I was inside the mortuary, so I get to see they did the swap before the body is being released to us. Okay, so this is the logic of why you have to take the ghusl. And then beside the ghusl, this is again in situation. You see, the beauty of Islam always never forgot the other side of human. The other side of human means like in cases where what happens if you have no water, or you have, maybe you're facing a drought season or whatever. You see the beauty. You see, Allah doesn't want us to forget or give ourselves an excuse or burden us for us to be making up of the prayer that we miss. So there is always an alternative. When you're not able to use the water, then you can use the tayammum or the dry ablution. And these are the substances that normally been used. They use pure soil. And we very hard to find that in Singapore. Pure clay also is something that is debatable, and dust. So this can be found almost anywhere. But yeah, the issue is whether they are pure or not. As we know, in the context of our soil here, mostly you have the four-legged animal, peeing here and there. So it's very difficult to know. So my advice is, if you, I don't know where now, even there's one Indian shop that normally do the grinding of powder, like chili and all that. Right? You can buy this dust from him, about 50 cents, like in a packet, right? It's not the dust of chili. If the dust of chili, then you will be blind. It's something else. He know. If you say that you want to buy the dust for tayammum, then he will pack it for you. So you can keep it in case of emergency, and you can brought along with you anywhere. Like sterilization also, things that you're affected by the major impurity, right? They even sold this water. This is done by Ustaz Abdurrahman Muhammad. He has his own factory, and his company is Fake Consultancy. He has come out with most of this substance that you can use to replace where you can't find clay. We don't have much of a problem of being licked by dog or even by pig in our society, although we have heard of wild boar running around in some places. There is no harm of for us. We are not I mean, during my younger days, yes, we are surrounded with a lot of stray dogs running around in this when we are in the village. But well, like I said just now, Islam always prepare us so that we don't have to give ourselves an excuse to say that, oh, I don't, there's no water in my house, and you know, this and that. So you can replace it by applying of this dry ablution or tayammum. So you can only do this tayammum again over this condition mentioned here if the use of water harms you. Meaning, like, if you wash whichever area that needs to be washed, right, it will endanger yourself, you know, or the sickness becomes more severe, or you cannot be in contact with water. Well, in this is have to be pronounced by the doctor, not you become the doctor and say, no, 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 I cannot, I cannot use water. I get high fever and this and that. No, you cannot be the one that diagnosing to say that you cannot use water because it harms you. It has to be someone, a professional, you know, like a doctor, nutritionist, you know. Maybe they may have reason for disallowing you to use water because it will harm you. That is the first reason, which is very rare again in the context of our society. Again, unless otherwise that person is really cannot. They are normally in ICU cases is where they won't allow you to have access to be drinking water, and they know the reason why. Second, if not water is found after searching of it, you cannot find water. Okay, and then thirdly, if there is a danger going to a place where there is water, because maybe there's a presence of enemies or dangerous animal that is surrounding the water that you wanted to do, you know. So it's not just dive yourself, or you know, take any water that is that you can have access. But if that water harms you, then it becomes a problem. Again, in our time, it may not, or it may, or you may not apply, you know. But then if you are in a situation really, this one again, like I said, normally it's in Saudi Arabia. I experienced this myself, especially during summer. There it can go as high as 54 to 55 degree, right? So you can imagine, even when I'm talking like this, you find that the mouth will be very dry and cracking and this and that. So in that kind of situation, water is so precious, right? And it is because of the water is insufficient for you to quench your thirst. So you see how beautiful. So this is where you can clarify. In now you understand this. There is no such thing as terrorism in Islam. You see how Islam value life here. If the water is insufficient for you to be drinking, then you should use it for drinking, and then replace the ablution with the dry ablution. Use the water to quench your thirst. Beautiful, isn't it? Then again, in situation, if the water is in possession of another and its price is too high or so, forget about it. Don't go and quarrel and kill one another just because of you need the water to take the ablution. And last but not least, if one is ill or has wound, and water will do harm. Like I said earlier, so these are again, you must be coming from an expert, like in by a medical doctor who will certify and tell you that, okay, you can't you know, you have to ensure that the wound, water doesn't reach the wound. Okay, clear? Or you have any question before I move on? Anybody?
No.
Huh?
No, Ustaz.
Okay, thank you. So how to perform this dry ablution is, when performing the dry ablution, This is what you should do. You have to make sure that you place the right palm over the soil or the dust, okay, and leave it to the face, wipe it while making intention to perform the obligation of the prayer. Now I took لِتَيَمُّمَ لِإِسْتِبَاتِ الصَّلَاةِ لِلَّهِ ta'ala. That is in Arabic. So I intend to take tayammum to allow me to do the obligatory prayer because of Allah ta'ala. Then you wipe your face once, then tap again onto the soil and dust, remove the dust from your hand, and then wipe the right arm up to the elbow, and then the left right uh, up to the elbow. Okay, so only two parts that needs to be cleansed for tayammum, unlike wudu. Okay, wudu accordingly is four. According to the Quran is four, but according to the Sunnah, with an addition of washing of your hand, rinsing of your mouth, these are following the Sunnah, following the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is what normally they said, follow the Quran and Sunnah. Sunnah here means the practice. And you will only know the Sunnah through the Hadith. Hadith means a report that you are reading about Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam action. Okay? Now the difference between ablution and dry ablution, that means wudu and tayammum, the difference is only dry ablution is only valid for one prayer. The one obligatory prayer. That particular obligatory prayer. If you're doing it for Zuhur, okay, that's it. After you have said the salam, automatically the ablution will become invalid. It cannot be used for another obligatory prayer. And if it is intended for Zuhur, it will not be valid for Asr. You have to wait until Asr. And it's not the same again like wudu, right? Let's say you have done your Zuhur prayer, then you want to take your wudu at 3, where you know Asr is at 4:30 plus, right? You want to take at 3 o'clock, cannot, for the ablution. I mean, for the dry ablution. But for the wudu, yes. You immediately after you have performed your Zuhur prayer, after you have lunch, and then at 2 o'clock you start retake again the wudu to prepare yourself for the asar, yes, it's allowed. But for tayammum, no. Okay? Any
Ustaz,
question?
Ustaz,
Yes.
sorry, if I may ask, why is it so, Ustaz?
What is it so?
In a sense that, tayammum only for one obligatory prayer, and you cannot use it for the next obligatory prayer.
Because dust cannot hold anything to do with impurities, right? Logically speaking.
Yeah.
That is the logical reason. Because dust cannot hold. Like dust cannot hold if you pee, if you have past wind, right? I mean, so does the water, but there's an argument, there's a logical explanation. Water can seep into your pores, right? But the dust cannot. The dust will not go in. Okay? Does that answer your question?
So, which means that what you're trying to say is using water, the cleansing is so much better lah.
Oh yes. Yes, this is proven, like I told you just now, scientifically. If I mean the argument here, if you do it accordingly, right? But many people didn't do it accordingly, so you will still not be good looking, so to say lah. If you do it accordingly, you will see that it will cleanse you. It will cleanse you, not only just physically, but of course the earlier generation, they are more focused in the internal cleansing rather than the physical cleansing. Because today, when you talk about physical cleansing today, there are extra things that you use, An example, the addition of soap, the addition of substance that has got aroma, smell good and this and that. So that makes a lot of difference when you just apply water. Water itself has a lot of significance. And again, as I mentioned, the study has been made by the Japanese professor.
Okay.
See, that's where the difference, if you were to study about the dust, it doesn't have any significance. It is that something that Allah Ta'ala, create an alternative for us uh, so that we know, the importance of how we can still be in touch with our loved one. Wallahu a'lam bisawab.
Okay. Start one more. Sorry.
Yes, please.
Okay. Based on this argument also. Okay. Let's say for instance, during Maghrib, between Maghrib and Isha, the time frame is very short. Let's say for some weird reason you decide to read long surah. Then after that, you do your sunnah, everything. Once you are done, Isha comes in. So so I guess based on this thing, I still need to take my tayammum again.
Yes, if you are using tayammum, yes.
Okay.
But if wudu, no.
Okay.
I mean, unless if it is like, even it's very close. Example that you were on tayammum on Asar, right? And then 5 minutes before Maghrib, you wanted to wait for Maghrib, but then this dry ablution becomes invalid, then you have to retake.
Okay.
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 Anyway, it's only 2 parts that you need to wash. It's not so, I mean, I don't think so there's hassle, isn't it? Just 2 parts, the face and the 2 hands.
It's not about the hassle part, Ustaz. It's more on the application and understanding, Ustaz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Removing the filth from the bodily growth of 8 types, which is filth which stick to the hair of the head, like maybe dirt or lice. It becomes like a growth in your hair. Sometimes there are people who are not very careful in cleaning themselves, may suffer this kind of thing. So they should be removed by washing, combing, and using ointment on the alternate days to avoid, when you have lice in your hair, right? It will eat up your scalp, right? And then it will later appear to be very dirty. I have come across, I mean, these are normally elderly people, if they are not being taken care of, there's no one nursing them, no one comb their hair, and they don't use ointment on the alternate days. And this is what happened, especially for men. Men have this, if you're fond of growing long hair, you will have this issue of, the hair become, stick to the hair, stick to the head. Like sometimes you see like patches because of the hair is been affected by these things. So this is considered as filth also. You need to wash it. Okay, you need to cleanse it. Then again, the others will be filth that accumulates in the ear canals. You know already about the, what you call it, the inside your ears, right? You cannot in totality, although now they have what you call it, candling, to remove the, what is that thing inside?
Wax.
To remove the wax, right? You cannot remove it totally, because that wax has a reason for it being there. It's just that it cannot be too much, or you have been accumulating. You didn't put on an effort to try and. Although now they have come up with all kind of technology beside the candling, there are other ways. And in fact, today also the latest they discover what causes dementia is about this wax. if it's like over crowded of the wax in your ears, right, you will suffer from dementia at the later. So it's considered as filth, you have to remove it. The same with the filth in the nose also. And like I said just now, you know, a lot of things has changed in this modern world. They have even a machine that you can remove the hair of the nose. You just insert it and it will cut the hair. Because it's too long, then there will be a lot of other issues coming out from the nose. As you know, normally you call it gold, right? Coming out from the nose. So you have to remove it. Another phase will be which accumulate between the teeth and the tip of the tongue. Sometimes people suffer like that. So this is again that beautify a Muslim. If you understand most of the thing that you do, you see, although those people who are non-Muslims, I have seen this in some officers, you know, they are very fond of bringing in their toothbrush, you know, after they had lunch. They are not Muslim, but they will brush their teeth. And this is to prevent uh, things that accumulate in between the teeth and the tip of the tongue. It can become a disease where you suffer from all kind of other sicknesses that you didn't realize. Okay. Same goes again, number 5 or the 5th, which sticks to the beard. You never know because if it's too thick, that's why in Shafi school, if you want to be having beard and mustache, every 40 days you are asked to trim it. Okay, you're not allowed to grow it like I have seen some professor, even in Saudi Arabia, you know, up to their, what you call it, quite long. But you have to make sure that it will be an extra thing that when you take your wudu, you know, you have to open up and push your hand in between the beard to make sure that, you know, it is smooth. You know, like I think women knows this very well. Right? Normally, when you comb your hair, right, suddenly you find the comb gets stuck. Right? It could be, yeah. I mean, generally could be a chewing gum or somebody have fix you with something or whatever. So the same thing happens to the beard here if you have a very thick beard. Okay, you need to clean it also. And this one you can see if you go to Angolia Mosque, how these Hanafis, when they take the wudu, you know, you see them pushing their hand inside the beard and to make sure that it's wet also and this and that. Okay. The 6th feels which sticks onto the hand also, especially after eating. If you, I mean, the early days, they do not wash hands, most of them. What they did was they lick their hand and fingers, but this thing doesn't apply in our time. Of course, most of us now use fork and spoon, and we wash our fork and spoon, right? Our utensils lah. But in the early days, it becomes a field if it is not been, if they don't look after. Then trimming of the fingernails, as you know, again, normally if the fingernails are long, well, again, as I said today, in our time, the women, they even have like a saloon that look after their fingernails, you know. I don't think so, armpit, but the pubic hair, yes, as I just mentioned earlier. Anything that where the hair grows, right, you need to trim it every 40 days. This is about cleanliness. Okay. And lastly, filled with accumulate on the body due to perspiration and dust. This can also happen, and that's where the showers become, you know, necessary.
Ustaz, minta maaf Ustaz.
Ah,
The previous slide, the number 7.
ah.
Okay, is it hadith, sunnah, or what? The number 7, the every 40 days.
Yeah, it's in the hadith.
Hadith ah.
Yeah.
Okay, Ustaz, thank you.
Yeah. Then removing fails again on the bodily growth. It's of the 8 kind also. The hair on the head, there is no harm in shaving it or growing it. Okay, but not to make like pattern that you saw today. Okay, I don't want to touch on this because there is already an hadith which has already been circulated, in fact, on Facebook, on, you know, to share with the Muslim, there are certain pattern of shaving and leaving hair. One side there is no hair, the other side have hair, and whatever, or tomahawk or whatever, you know. This is not allowed in Islam. As you can see, there's only 2 alternatives there. Either you shave it or you let it grow, as long as you keep it tidy and comb, meaning smart. Okay, Islam doesn't allow you to be too stylish, and especially these stylists are actually copied by other uh, other, what do you call it, culture. It's not in the Islam. If you want to be a good Muslim, in other words. And I'm not saying that those who didn't shave their hair properly is not a Muslim. I didn't say that. It's just that it's not something Islamic. Okay. In short, just to let you to make you understand. The same goes with mustache. The Prophet didn't allow us to be having our mustache covering our mouth. You know, like I don't know what kind of dog that normally you see very hairy, that it covers the mouth and so on and so forth. There are some who likes that. You know, the mustache is longer, covering the mouth, but you have to have it neat and tidy again. Same goes with the armpit, should be safe also. The same with the pubic hair, should be safe. I mean, I think we have nurse in this group, right? You can ask nurse. These are again about hygiene, okay? It's about hygiene, and it's going to be a problem for them if should you fall sick, you're so hairy and you come to the hospital when they need to cut you open. The first thing they need to do, they have to shave you. Then you become bald, you know, for nothing, eh? But you see, Islam have taught you to always maintain, okay? And the same goes with the nail, should be trimmed, not too long. Because if it's too long, it can become weapon. Anyway, it's about hygiene, right? It's not so much of a weapon even to a woman, and even to some men who are very fond of keeping one nail long, you know, they don't want to trim it. I don't know for whatever reason, but Islam is concerned of hygiene, more to hygiene than any other reason. Okay. Same also with the umbilical cord, should be cut off when the child is born. Of course, nobody carry the umbilical cord with them. That is understood, right? It's considered as the thing that is yourself. You don't need these things. You know, that's why it has to be removed. Some is categorized as it becomes filth, become najis, you know. Not the umbilical cord. Umbilical cord can be kept and can be used, in fact, for the child when the child falls sick. Scientifically, they have done a study on that, right? Then again, the foreskin should be circumcised. These are for both, although there are differences of opinion among the scholars. But the Shafi'i school, the woman is sunnah, the man is obligatory. But obligatory is not like, like immediately you have to do it. You have to remove it sooner or later. It's again about cleanliness. If you don't remove the foreskin, you know what will happen. You are prone to be affected with gonorrhea, syphilis, whatever. See, everything, it has a reason for doing it. And again, most of these 8 things that I'm reading to you now is been done by non-Muslim more than the Muslim. I don't know whether they practices this or not. Then again, for the long beard, do not dye it black or bleach it white. This is again, it has to do with arrogantness. You know, when a man of my age, where we have so many gray hair, Then you bleach it with white or you bleach it to make it black so that you look younger. If the reason just because of you want to look stylo milo, it's not allowed. Okay? It's not allowed. But you have a reason, example, like you really look like scary, you know, whatever. There must be a valid reason. It's not for style. Okay, in some or few men who have chest hair should be shaved as well or just clean as we shower. If it is not too thick, then it's okay. And you just clean it when you are taking a shower. But if it is too thick, then you need to trim it. Not shave, but trim it. Because if you shave, it's going to be very painful, isn't it? Okay? Any question? Any question?
No, Ustaz.
Okay, we will move on with today's lesson. It's about prayer, the excellence of prayer, and the prayer call. And the first one is, of course, about the excellence of azan. The Prophet ﷺ said, 3 persons will remain on the resurrection day on the mount of a black mass. They will have no fear of account and they will have no anxiety till they become free from what is near man. One is one who recites the Quran to seek the pleasure of Allah and leads the prayer. This is about azan. Okay. Second is one who proclaim azan in the mosque for pleasure of Allah. When they say pleasure of Allah, is rida Allah. They are looking for Allah Ta'ala pleasure. And call people to the path of Allah here means is da'wah, propagation. And thirdly, one who's given trouble in the world regarding his livelihood, but does not give up the actions of the next world in searching it. So here the Prophet ﷺ said, if a man, genie, or anything hear the azan of a muazzin, he will testify for him on the resurrection day. The Prophet ﷺ also said, the hand of the merciful remain on the head of muazzin till he finishes his azan. Allah says, if a man call towards Allah and does good, who is better than him in preaching. So this is what this Quranic verse is telling us, the excellence of azan. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than one who invites to Allah, besides teaching, and does righteousness and say, indeed, I am of the Muslim. And in the hadith narrated by Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhum, the supplication made between azan and the iqamah is not rejected. So these are the things that why we study. Then you know if you have certain things that you wanted to request to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the appropriate timing that you should be looking for. All right. The supplication that is made between azan and iqamah. I mean, after the azan, then people doing the sunnah prayer, right? If there is no sunnah prayer also, so you can, after you recited Allahumma rabbaha di da'wati tamma wa salatul qa'imah, innaka la tukhliful mi'ad, then you can add in whatever dua that you want to add in. That is the reason why the scholars added that supplication in order for them to find, they know that this is the best time to be asking Allah Ta'ala. So that's why they include the dua of Rabbi Fili Wali Walidayya, Rabbi Fili Wali Walidayya. It's been repeated 3 times. Rabbi Fili Wali Walidayya, Rabbi Fili Wali Walidayya, Rabbi Fili Wali Walidayya, Warhamhuma Kama Rabbayani Saghira. See, they insert this dua in between the azan and iqamat for them to be asking Allah to forgive their parents. Of course, who else? They are the one that you should be asking for forgiveness. Then again, in our time related to the COVID-19 situation, this narrated by Imam Nafi, once on a very cold and stormy night, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhum pronounced the azan for the prayer and then said, pray in your homes. So because of cold and stormy. So pandemic, don't need to say lah, understood lah. So this is what they meant by, they may not get a direct hadith that mention about COVID-19, but enough to use this hadith. So this is where they call it qiyas. They do an analytical or analysis to understand from what is being said. If it is just cold and stormy, Omar command them to be doing prayer in their home. So pandemic, there's no need to ask. It's understood. You should be doing it, which we are doing it, alhamdulillah, the whole month of Ramadan plus Eid Mubarak. So these are a valid ways on how the amal is being done. Then again, in Umar also added on very cold and rainy nights, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to order muazzin to say, pray in your home. See, there's an addition. They even changed the command, hayya ala salah to hayya ala al-bayt. Hayya ala al-bayt, pray in your own homes. We can do that in our mosque to say that to the society. Okay. Then Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, when you hear the call to prayer, and say it is similar to what the muazzin say. And this is how, again, we know when it is said, Allahu Akbar, you repeat after him. That's all. Okay. And then, of course, narrated by Yahya, as above also, and added some of the companion told me that Hisham had said when the Muazzin said Hayya ala Salah, and then Muawiyah said to reply La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Now remember, things like this, like although this is reported by Imam Bukhari, as you can see in Sahih Bukhari, hadith number 613, but that doesn't mean that every people that you met will be saying the same thing. This is the, we are not exposed to this because, I mean, unless again you mix around, you intermingle wherever you go, then you will find that not only just this word, it is more common in Asia, but not in other countries. They have different ways in replying the muazzin. Okay. This is just for your information. Okay, don't worry about this thing. But unless again you travel again to different parts of the world, then you will be surprised to hear that when it comes to Hayya ala Salah, they will not reply La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The problem with us, we are actually parrot lah. We copy only. We didn't ask. Is there any hadith on this matter, and is there any other views that come from others? We didn't ask that, but this today you know there is a different from different school, they will have a different ways in replying. And again, when the muazzin say prayer is commencing, that is qad aqamat salah, and then you should reply, may Allah establish it, and make it last as long as heaven and as the heaven and earth. All these are in the fiqh book. Then when Fajr, this is referring to the Subuh, we call it here in Singapore. So see, even the word Fajr, we are not familiar in using this in Asia. Most of the Arab continent, they didn't call the Subuh prayer. The meaning are the same, but they call it Fajr. So in Fajr prayer, you know that there is, when it comes to Hayya ala Salah, then there is As-salatu khairun min an-nawm. Prayer is better than sleep. Salatu khairun min an-nawm, then you should reply, you have spoken the truth and piously. And we are again reminded here by Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet said, which means when the ikama is called for salat, do not come to it rushing. Okay, don't rush. Rather come to it walking, and while you have tranquility, you should be at ease. You know, when you want to. But again, I mean, most of us, because we didn't study, you see them running like, 100 really. Some is like, just dashing here and there. Then you are panting when you're praying. It's not right, isn't it? You see how beautiful it has been taught here. But you should just walk. Even they have started, just follow. So that you will have tranquility. What you catch of it, then pray it, as I just mentioned. If you come in, the imam is ruku, follow the ruku. If you come in, the imam tidal already, he has already rise up from the ruku, follow him. Okay? And what you miss of it, so it's understood already in the Shafi'i school, if you miss the ruku, automatically you miss that raka'ah. You need to make it up immediately after the imam say the salam. Okay? In Shafi'i school. Now the excellence of the prescribed prayer, of course, the Quran tells us in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4 verse 103, فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِكُمْ فَإِذَا أَطْمَأْنَنْتُمْ فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Which means, and when you have completed the prayer, remember Allah. So here again means that not necessarily that after the salam you have to remain there until everything is finished. Not necessarily, okay? Because the Quran tells us that you remember Allah whether you are standing, you're sitting, lying on your side, or even you're walking back to your office. Okay? But when you become secure, meaning like when you are already safe, wherever that you arrive, then re-establish. Then don't forget to continue the prayer, the regular prayer. Indeed, prayer has been decreed upon the believers a degree of a specific time. So regarding this ayat, there's a prophet, there's an hadith that says the Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhum reported, he said that he heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, which means, say if there were a river at the door of one of you in which, you take a bath 5 times a day, would any soiling remain on him? They replied, no soiling would left on him. Then he said, that is the 5 obligatory prayers. So these are again minor sin. Minor sin will be washed away by the prayer, not the major. So Allah obliterates all sin as a result of performing them. Okay? Then, as I just said, mention of the prayer is a cleansing of your minor sin. The 5 prayers expiate one sin so long as one does not commit major sin. So major sin, I already recommended you the book Al-Kaba'ir. There's a mention of it. Of course, I mean, most of us know some, but not all. But if you want to know the detail, you can refer to that book, Al-Kaba'ir. It speaks of the major sin. And this is narrated by Ubaidullah bin Abi Bakr bin Anas from Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhum, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about the major sin, shirk with Allah. This is one of, most likely Allah will not be forgiving you. Shirk is ascribing partners. And then another one is disobeying parents. Can you imagine? For those who still have parents, very fortunate. Be careful not to transgress up to the level of becoming a disobedient child. It's a major sin that you have committed. And then taking the life without any valid reason, which is allowed in the religion, and saying false statement also. This is under things that can lead into major. Okay. Other than that, then it's considered as a minor sin. Now, the distinction between a believer and a hypocrite, a believer is known as mu'min, a hypocrite is known as munafiq. It was narrated that Abu Hurairah radiallahu said, the Prophet ﷺ said, which means the most burdensome prayer for the hypocrites are the Isha prayer. It's a test to many of us. And of course, the Fajr prayers. This is sad, and in our society, actually, we can learn this from the non-Muslims who wake up almost every day, at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, not for praying, just to keep themselves fit. And that's the reason why sometimes we overlook this, and then we want to be, making so much noise or feeling unhappy over certain things where actually it's not supposed to be like that. So you can see the Prophet already knew that it can become the most burdensome for the hypocrite, the munafiq, because they are the one that normally will give excuse and to say that you don't do the Isha or the Fajr prayer. So here it is said, if only they knew what reward there is in them, they would come to them even if they had to Quran. And this one I already shared with you, to perform in congregation. Remember, congregation, the Fajr prayer, if possible, the Asr prayer and the Isha prayer. Because for Fajr and Isha, there's a presence of the angel. No, sorry. For Fajr and Asr, there's an angel there. But for the Isha, it's like completion of the night prayer. If you're not able to wake up for the Tahajjud Mahajjud, then try to do the Isha with your family members. So if you knew the reward as mentioned in this hadith by Sunan Ibn Majah, that they would come to them. I mean, they will want to do the prayer even if they had to crawl. Then you have one more key to paradise, according to Jabir bin Abdullah radiallahu anhum, narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, the key to paradise is Salah. Miftah Jannah as-Salah. Miftah Jannah as-Salah. That means the key, like your house key, right, to enter paradise is prayer. And the key to Salah, what makes the Salah becomes very Miftahu Salah, Miftahu Wudu as-Salah. The key to prayer is the wudu. And this hadith is Hasan and reported by Jami' at-Tirmidhi in book 1, hadith number 4. And do not intentionally abandon your salah, unless again there's a reason. This is again narrated by Imam Jabir radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet said between disbelief and faith is abandoning the salah. So that's the line that makes us different, between the disbelief and a mu'min is abandoning of the salah. And again, in the excellence of performing prayer correctly is always recommended that we are to be humble. The book goes into actually a very detail, in this. I mean, you should read this part where you explain about excellence of fulfilling the duties of prayer, then excellence of praying in congregation, and excellence of prostration, and so on and so forth. So this is where you will understand, by if two men of my follower stand in prayer, it seems that their prostration are the same. But the spirit of their prayer is like the distance between heaven and earth. Can you imagine? And you can also be known as a robber if you steal in the prayer. So what does they mean by stealing in the prayer? According to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhum said, a liar is someone who lies in his oath. A miser is someone who is miserly with the greeting, and a thief is someone who steals the prayer. Who steals the prayer here means he didn't do the prayer with the presence of his mind and his soul. It's only just a bodily movement. Okay? And of course, the excellence of performing in congregation, there's too many if you want to go into. We only take part of what is being mentioned in the book of Ihya. Because if you put everything inside, then you will fall asleep. I'm the only one talking to myself. So we take the excerpt only a few one that we find that it should be discussed. So you get some narration said 27 reward, some says 25. And this is narrated from Ibn Ammar radiallahu anhu that the Prophet ﷺ said, praying in congregation is 27 times better than praying alone. You can refer to that hadith, Sunan al-Nasa'i. Then again narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhum that the Prophet ﷺ said the prayer in congregation is 27 times superior to the prayer offered by person alone. Of course, it has many significant which this hadith didn't specifically mention. So you have to look into other hadiths that it goes into the detail. And Imam Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu also narrated that the Prophet said, indeed a man's salah in the congregation is increased by 25 reward over his salah. So you must have heard about burning houses of those who miss congregation prayer during the time of the early days, during the lifetime of the companion. So narrated by Abu Hurairah, the Prophet said, no doubt, I intended to order somebody to pronounce the Iqamah of the compulsory congregational prayer. And then I would go to the houses of those who do not attend the prayer and burn their houses over them. Now, it's not practically he do it. You better not get mistaken of the hadith. Huh? He said that if it is not, what you call it, something that I can be doing it, I would go up to the extent of, to those houses who doesn't intend to perform the prayer in congregation and burn their houses over them. Can you understand, right? Hello?
Yes, Ustaz.
See, that's why I have to be properly read and understood, because hadiths like this can create war, in our society or even in some countries, which already happened. They took it literally. Prophet has never shown any violence in his lifetime. The same goes with many men still misunderstood the word darab in Arabic. Daraba yadribu idrab, in the understanding of the Arabic grammar. So darab literally it means beat, 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 right? But doesn't mean, because when you use the word beat in English, right? What is beat to you? Hey, don't play a fool, huh? You talk much, I beat you. So how you understand this word beat? What does that expression means? It's really a physical beating, isn't it? Hello? Anybody?
Yes, Ustad.
Right. So which is not, okay? I have a report, I can't show you today, but if I have the time, I will show you the slides. This is in the report which we study at the ARS level, to clarify this in the understanding of most men. And as a result, that's why the domestic violence increases here in our society. Because they literally understood the hadith that you can beat. where actually even in their understanding of beating during their time was using the miswa, that kind of stick, that you use for like the toothbrush, you beat your wife with that, okay, or handkerchief. Some understood as handkerchief. So that is what the beating mean. And now they review back again. Actually, it's not beating. It is more to educating the wife. See how wrong we are, and this is because of their understanding of the word nushus in Arabic. So this one also is where you need to study to understand when do you call your wife as being nushus. And most of this nushus that is done by the wife was actually the husband started. Not come from the wife. The husband started become nushus mean become very wild, you are not no more obeying your husband and this and that. This one, inshallah, I've already spoken to Brother Aidil Yao. We will make an announcement soon to have that parenting courses or how to raise our children in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah, which I already have the slides with me. It's a matter of I don't have any more nights to spare for you, so I was proposing to him to do it on Sunday night. If you all agree, please give him the answers, and we will have it in this coming July, inshallah. I think I will let me finish this. So some of the traditions of the companion and the early Muslim. Syed ibn al-Musayyab radiallahu anhu said, I have been in the mosque before the call to prayer for 20 consecutive years. Can you imagine? 20 years. Muhammad ibn Wasi' said, I want three things from the world. A brother who keeps me straight if I become crooked. And this is where they categorize that kind of brother is known as Sahabi. And then a livelihood which can be earned without begging. A group prayer in which my faults are forgiven and a reward is recorded for me. And Al-Imam Ibn Abbas radiallahu said, whoever does not respond to the call to prayer does not hope for good and do not expect it from him. Wallahu a'lam. So I think we will. See, got some more? Or you want to stop there, boss?
Ustaz, your choice still quite lengthy actually.
Better not now.
Next week, inshallah.
Don't want to rush lah. Okay. So with that, it's Q&A time now, as usual, if there is any. Wow. Silent now.
Start.
Miss Golden now. Yes, Hermanto.
Okay, regards of the ablution again, habis. If let's say during tawaf, can you use tayammum for whatever reason, like let's say down there dry up, no water or whatsoever, just for argument's sake?
In Saudi Arabia, yes, you are prone to be in that kind of situation if it is during summer. Especially if you are the outskirts, but the problem with the local, I mean, the problem with us, our generation, we didn't actually wander around now. So that's why it's not so much of having that kind of experience. But if you do, normally it is during the pilgrimage time. You will come across that kind of situation sometimes. Sometimes because now, as you can see, the whole area of Makkah al-Mukarramah, maybe not for you, Manto, you may not have been there for quite some time. It's already been developed. So it's like I don't know, you can come up with that kind of reason, but nonetheless, the culture of the Arabs and our culture is different. They actually doesn't allow private to come to their homes, even just want to take wudu. They won't allow that. You need to know the different culture.
Okay.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yep.
But if you go during the pilgrimage time, you are likely to be caught in that kind of situation where you need to be using the dry ablution. Still, even in today's context. Any other question?
Ustaz, just to be very clear,
Mm-mm.
tayammum you can only use for one obligatory prayer. Okay, so which means that if let's say after tawaf and then immediately Zohor for instance, you can just continue, right?
For tayammum.
In terms of the application, Ustaz, this one.
Now, of course, in Masjidil Haram, they do not allow you to actually take. I have never seen anyone does tayammum over there, but I did saw mostly are those elderly Arabs. They have difficulties in waking up and taking the wudu. So they did the tayammum. That one, the cause is because of they fall under the category of being sick. But even wudu is not allowed to be taken in haram, but people does not follow and they don't take action except the cleaner of the mosque is the one that will be making so much noise because you wet the place and they fear that it's slippery because of how they wash, right? Normally the soap can cause a lot of elders to fall.
Okay.
Any other question? Don't have to be the topic that we are discussing tonight, but if you have anything in your mind, although for those who are, unless we are following all the 3 classes, then you can reserve for.
Ustaz,
Yes.
Ustaz, just to ask you, kalau tayamum we don't have the powder, is bedak permissible?
No. Different
No,
substance is not allowed because it
Okay.
has a fragrance, kan. And you do not know some of this powder. The modern one, it may contain substance that is again not pure, and there will be an issue. If you're talking about those powder um, that is used for baby or whatever, still it's not allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Don't be shy. I don't show my face, right? So you can.
Then I got a question.
Please.
It's going to be the same question because I'm a bit not convinced with the previous talk that you shared with me. With regards to the solar, right? When we hear to the call of azan, and in times like situation, working, blah blah blah, we unable to do the solar during the time frame. Then if let's say for example Zohor, I missed it, right? So if Asar, do I need to, when I want to recite the niyat, right? Do I have to include apa tu? Ada.
Yes. For the Shafi'i school, yes.
Okay, but then you've mentioned this before, like in Singapore, if like we are in Singapore, like within our country, there's There's no such thing as talaq.
For the man, yes. But it's again, it's not in totality, because there are also some men may not be able to leave their post. Okay, the alternative will be jama, okay, jama tamam, meaning that you combine the zuhur and asar together, but zuhur for asar for, cannot asar.
Even if we are in the same country.
Huh?
So it's even if we are within our
Yes,
country.
yes. This is not a regular thing, of course. Of course, it's not a regular thing, right? It's only once in a while, you know, you get caught in a situation where you're not allowed to leave your post, or you're attending to someone who's severely in pain. This one is maybe applicable for Mrs. Intikab Hussein, you know, those who becomes medic. They don't have time. I don't think so. They can pray, right? Intikab, can you speak up? Can you share with us? Are you able to perform the prayer at the stipulated time?
Assalamualaikum Ustaz.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Yeah, not we are not able to perform timely. Yeah, because sometimes we are on the road.
Yes.
So yeah, we tend to delay or miss. Do hospitals do facilitate us some A&Es, right? So
Yeah.
if we have the time and we manage to squeeze in, then we go ahead and perform. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
if not, then we're not able to do it. Not even for breaking fast. Sometimes it's always delayed. Yeah. So yeah, but Alhamdulillah, I mean, yeah, Allah knows best. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, you know, it's good to come back to class. I mean, sometimes there are certain things, you know, we miss out, you know, where
Yeah.
actually it is so convenient. Allah want us to, Allah facilitate us, you know, with things that, you know, you have an alternative of doing it, and you should not be worrying about it. You should just do to the best, you know, because you have your reason, and that attending to someone that is severely sick, and this, you know, again, something that is Islamic. It is being promoted in Islam because Islam treasures lives, you know. So those are for medic, those who works in that kind of the nature of their work lah. I think for you also, Iza, I know that you are a nurse from the National University Hospital, so you may be caught in that kind of situation. So please don't rush and, you know, leave the patient and quickly just because of you do not want to miss the prayer. That is not ethical. And that's why I mentioned also in ibadah, we have ibadat asas, which is the foundation, right? And in the foundation is where you have the pillars of Islam. But you must also look into the ibadat umum. The ibadat umum here does not mean the general act of how we interact things, you know, but it's referring to fardu kifaya, the fardu kifaya that you need to be doing, you know, like in socializing, in work. And Islam make sure that you have that excellent character of cannot be thinking, cannot be selfish of just thinking about yourself. You know, you're the only one that wants to go to Jannah and everyone else go to hell, you know, and you ignore your superior. And although Allah is greater than everyone else, but He doesn't demand you to be doing that. So be careful of these things, okay? This is still happening in our society. You know, many Muslims will dare to be fighting with their respected employer, and some even took the initiative of resigning just because of they cannot be doing the prayer at the stipulated time, which is not ethical. If you study the fardu kifaya, the what is known as ibadat umum, the ibadat asas is very simple. Ibadat asas is the foundation, right? Is where the rukun Islam is. We just need to do the fine tune, you know, of what we've been doing, to have the rukun iman together with the rukun Islam. you need to have that kind of coordination when you are doing your 5 pillars. You have to include the Tawheed, because that is where you know that Allah is knower. Allah see you. Allah knows that you are in what kind of situation. And you know, this is very important for us to understand. It's not that you have to be like there's no alternative. As I always mention, that's why in the raising of the child, most parents make the mistake of saying haram to their child. Most of them will tell haram, everything haram to the child, but there's no halal. Where actually in Islam we have haram and we have halal. If Allah say haram drinking intoxicant, Allah says halal in drinking you know, whatever drinks that is not intoxicated is halal. Halal is more than haram if you study about halal and haram. If you go by the number, right, you will find that what is prohibited, you will find the numbers are not so great than in terms of the halal. So this why it's very important that we have to study. So I hope that answers your question, Iza.
Yes, Ustaz.
Yeah. So the alternative, like if you are in that kind of situation, just like our Siraj, Siraj is the medic and that is the wife of Brother Indikab Hussein. Of course, you can be taking the wudu, you attend to the sick first, attend to them. And that is, again, under, what you call it, the Fardhu Kifaya, you know, that is under fiqh mu'amalat. You know, mu'amalat means how you interact. And in Islam, what makes you a good Muslim is that you do something that is beneficial for others. And I think in the course of her duty and your respected service, I believe that is what you are asked to do. As to whether you can save or not, that is not your problem lah. But you are paid to do the job, right? Just do it. Remember, I told you that Wasatia tell us that we have to be excellent in even doing our work, and excellent in our relationship with our neighbors, with our friends, with our non-Muslim. These are all mentioned in the Ibadat Umum. Okay? Any other question? Silent is no lah. Okay, let us finish with dua. Astaghfirullahalazim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. اللهم إنا أعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا يستجاب لها. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بعافية يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.